Hi, my personal finance class. Today we're getting into section 12.2, which deals with term insurance. We're dealing with life insurance in this section, and today we're talking about term. And it gets its name term from what it stands for. Okay, term insurance is insurance that you buy for a specific amount of time. You buy it for increments of 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, or 20 years, okay? That's where the term comes from, okay? Term insurance only pays benefits in the case of the death of the person that is insured, okay? And because it's a term insurance, it does not continue on. You have to renew your policy. So let's say you buy a 5-year term insurance, once that 5 years is over with, you're going to want to buy another term life insurance, okay? And when you do that, because you are now 5 years older, you're a higher risk now of death, and so your premium for this insurance is going to be more expensive because you are older. With term insurance, this policy has no cash value. So once it ends, you don't get any money back for it, okay? It just expires and you have nothing to get back from all the money that you paid into it, okay? So term insurance is the best policy out there for the amount of money that you pay for it, okay? So remember how I said that once you're done with the years of your term insurance, you have to renew it or start a new plan. There is a type of term insurance called a renewable term policy. And what happens is the policies for this is a little bit higher because when this term is over with, you can go ahead and renew it and you don't have to take a physical exam. When you start some insurance, especially term insurance, they require you to have a physical done. They want to make sure that you have no physical problems that you're going to go ahead and drop dead on them within the next year or something. So you have to have a physical. And what they find in that physical might change the policy that they allow you to get, or it will change your premium. So when you deal with this new renewable term insurance, you don't have to take this physical. They're going to go ahead and use the physical that you had in the very beginning when you first started with them. The other thing is you don't have to requalify medically, and that kind of goes along with that physical. Once you have that physical, they want to make sure that you qualify medically for it. So let's say you have a renewable policy and you had a 20-year term policy. Your health when you are a 30-year-old person is probably going to be different than what you were when you were 50. You could have had diabetes that started up, or something else that happened later in life that insurance companies will not like. So by having this renewable term insurance, takes some of that risk away from you, but it does have a little higher premium. Okay, term insurance, like I said earlier, it is the best bang for your money, okay? You get the most protection for the amount you spend, and it normally is a good insurance for you if you're below 55. And the reason why is, remember when we talked about yesterday, what is insurance? In life insurance, you want to make sure it covers your amount of mortgage that you have, any of expenses like your funeral, and it's also going to cover the wages of the wage maker. Normally, when you are 55, you have no kids living at home with you, okay? You are pretty close, hopefully, to paying off your home. So you will not need to have as large as a policy. So if things expire, when you're about 55, you will want to go ahead and change your policy. You might not want a $300,000 term insurance. You might only want $100,000, and that will change your amount of premium. Okay, so that's what term insurance is, a good policy for when you're younger, when you're a homeowner and you've got young children at home, because it gives you the most coverage for a lower amount. Okay, so this in the notes here basically talks about how when you're about 50, 55 there, you start looking at your coverage and changing that. Okay, we're going to go ahead and talk a minute about the chart in your book that we're going to use for term insurance. And it's on page 453. It is table 12.2. 12.2 is the table that we'll use for all our homework assignments. And basically, it is a term insurance premium chart here by 1,000. So it's in groups of 1,000 for males, okay? A lot of insurance companies have different charts, tables, depending on male or female, and depending on what maybe your health risks are. And so you'll have to match up where you fit to the right table. Here for homework assignment, we are just going to use table 12.2, and it deals with males. Down here, you have to be careful below the chart. The first little small disclaimer here is that each policy has an additional $60 annual policy fee. And so we always got to make sure we include that. The second thing says premium rates for females. We're going to use the rate for males that are 5 years younger. So this is why we don't have to switch between charts, because for homework assignments, we're going to go ahead, and if it's dealing with a female, we're going to go to 5 years younger male. So let's say if it is a 35-year-old lady, we're going to use the term here for a 30-year-old man. Okay, now looking at our table, we have the age of a person, and then it's broken down 2 columns for each dollar amount. So for the first 1,000, for an annual renewal, means every year you're going to need to renew your insurance, you're going to use these 2 columns. If you're looking for a 10-year renewable, you're going to use these 2 columns here. And if you're looking at a 20-year renewable, we're going to use these 2 columns. And if you notice, for each type of term insurance, there's 2 columns. The first one deals with any insurance that is under $100,000. That is going to be your base pay. So looking at an annual renewable, you're going to pay $1.18 for every $1,000 of insurance you get. Anything over $100,000, we're going to use another rate, which is a little bit lower, that we're going to have to add on to it. Okay, and the same goes for each one. We're going to work with this in some examples so you understand what we're dealing with here. Okay, so let's go ahead and deal with our first example here. Okay, in your book here, it says, for example 1, find the annual premium for a $55,000 annual renewable policy. Okay, so that right away told us what columns we needed to look for in our table 12.2. Okay, it is for a 26-year-old man. Okay, so the very first thing we got to do is look to our table. And our table in 12.2, the first 2 columns deal with our annual renewable, and we're looking at age 26. So I'm looking at the male 26. For the first $100,000 or less, we're going to pay $1.18. How much did we want of life insurance? We only wanted $55,000. So we're just going to deal with this first column here. So what I'm going to do now is take that $1.18 and I'm going to multiply it by the number of thousands I want. Okay, and so I want 55,000, so I'm dealing with 55 units of 1,000. So I'm going to take 55 times the $1.18. And then don't forget, remember at the bottom of the chart, it says every insurance plan has a $60 fee. So I'm going to add my $60 to it, and this gives me how much I need to pay for this $55,000 term life insurance plan. Okay, so pretty straightforward using our chart. Okay, let's go ahead and let's do another example here. Okay, example number 2 says, find the annual premium for $150,000 10-year renewable term policy issued to a female at age 35. What is the total cost for her 10-year coverage? Okay, so we're going to go back to our chart here. And remember, at the bottom, it says for females, we're going to go to 5 years younger. And so we're talking about the 35-year-old female. So that means I need to go to 30 years. And then it told me I want a 10-year renewable. So I need to go over here and use these columns right here because this deals with my 10-year renewable. Now the next thing I need to look at is we want $150,000 in coverage. So remember, the first $100,000, I am going to go ahead and multiply the rate of $1.28 for every $100,000. Okay, then for my 50 extra thousand, I'm going to take that 50 times it by 0.78. So let me show you here in the notes basically. So pull it all forward here for you. So remember, the first 100,000 I got to use the rate for that, which was $1.28. Now, because I wanted 150,000, my other 50 units of insurance here, I'm going to multiply by that lower rate of 0.78, and that came from the table there. And for every insurance plan, I have to have the $60 annual fee. So I'm going to multiply them together, add them then, and this is my total $227 per year for this insurance for this female. Okay. Now, this is just for per year if you notice. We want to know, it asks, what is the total cost for this plan? So I'm going to go ahead, my last step is to take this 227 and times it by 10 for the 10 years. And this is what this term life insurance covers for these 10 years. That is not a bad price at all. For only $2,270 for 10 years, you've got $150,000 of coverage for your family if you were to unexpectedly die. Okay, so I'm gonna keep moving on here. If you look at the table, you'll notice as you move down through the table, after 6 years, your premium is going to get larger, quicker, okay? Because the insurance company is taking on more risk, okay? So it varies between the different companies, but on average, basically after 6 years, you'll start seeing the premiums increase faster. Okay, we're going to deal with an example here. And example 3 says we want to find out what the amount of a 20-year renewable term insurance to the nearest $1,000 is that a 35-year-old man can buy for $25 a month. So we don't know exactly how much coverage he's going to get, but we know this 35-year-old man can only spend $25 per month. So our job is to find the most plan of term insurance that he can get. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of work our way backwards. So the first thing I need to do is step 1. I'm going to go ahead and take $25 a month and I'm going to multiply it by 12 so that I can get it to the year cost of how much per year can I truly pay. So 12 times 25 I find out is $300 per year. Now, don't forget that with every insurance plan, I have a $60 yearly fee. So that's the next thing I'm going to do is from that $300, I'm going to subtract the $60. And this is how much money I know I can work with for the plan. So I have $240 to work with. Okay. This next step that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and now put this into equation. Okay. I know that the first $100,000 coverage is going to be a rate of $1.76. How did I know that? That was by looking at the chart because I'm dealing with a 35-year-old man and I am dealing with, it says that we are looking at a 20-year renewable. So I had to go over here. And for the first 100,000, it was $1.76. So that's where that number came from. So 100 times the $1.76, I find what that cost is, and it's $176. Well, that's definitely less than my max amount that I can use. So I am now going to look for how much more on top of it can I get for this gentleman. Okay, and this is where the equation part comes in. Okay, so how much extra do I have to work with? So that's step 4 is I'm going to take that 240, my max amount, subtract what the standard first 100,000 is, and I find out I have $64 more to work with. Okay, now I'm going to put it into equation. So because I'm going above that 100,000, I'm going to use the column that says portion over 100,000, and it gives me the rate of $1.26. So I'm going to take $1.26 times my unknown variable here is going to equal $64. Go ahead, solve for x, and you solve for x by taking $64 divided by $1.26, and I end up with 51,000 basically once I get that total. And so I'm going to go ahead and add my standard 100,000 to that 51,000 I just got by using my equation, and I find the total max insurance that this 35-year-old man can get with $25 per month is $151,000 term life insurance. Okay, so these are examples that we're working with. So let's take a quick look at our book problems that you're going to do for your assignment. Okay, book problem number 1 asks us, using table 12.2, find the annual premiums for each term insurance. Now, when you're doing problems 1 through 10 in that table there, make sure you're looking at what is the gender of the person and what type. Is it an annual, 10-year or 20-year term insurance, okay? Then they're going to give you the face value. They're going to tell you how much insurance they want. So make sure that you're reading that table correctly. For problem number 1, it tells us that we have a 20-year-old male, 21-year-old male, and they want only $75,000 in coverage, okay? And it also told us that we want annual. So we're going to go look at table 12.2, and we're going to use the first 2 columns. And we're only honestly going to use the first column because we have 75,000. It's less than the 100,000. So I'm going to take the rate. Here's my 75,000, 75 units of $1,000 of coverage. Take that 75, multiply it by the $1.18 that I got from the table. And then don't forget, I've got to add the annual fee to it. Add them together once you multiply, and that is how much his term insurance is going to cost him. That's all they're doing and asking for you to do is find how much his term insurance is going to cost. So be careful, watch what they're asking for. Now, problems number 2, I'm showing you to pay attention because it is a female, okay? Remember, when we're dealing with females, we have to take 5 years younger. Okay, and in number 2, it's only 50,000, so we don't need to go anything above the 100,000. And it's asking us for annual, so we're going to use that first column again. Okay, once you get that total, it's $1.18 again. Multiply by 50. Don't forget the $60 annual fee, and you end up with $119 per year for this. Okay, it's our annual fee, so it's per year. Okay, now looking at the new tables there, 11 through 16, it is asking us to find the maximum amount of insurance coverage that we can buy, okay? So this was just like example 3 that we just finished up doing, okay? So we're going to work our way through problem 11. Problem 11 deals with a 23-year-old male. They want annual, and we have a budget of $250 per year to work with, okay? So they already gave us the per year, so I don't need to multiply it by anything. So my very first step is, since I know I have $250 to work with, I'm going to subtract the $60 fee. That now tells me how much playing room I have with my money, okay? The next step is to find out what is my standard 100,000 going to cost me for insurance. And so I go back to table 12.2. I am dealing with a 23-year-old male for annual, so that's the first column. And I find out that it's going to cost me $1.18 again, okay? So take $1.18 times the 100,000, and I get 118, okay? Next step is to find out how much extra room I have to work with. So I'm going to take that 190, which was my max fee, subtract the 118, and I now know I have $72 to work with. So now with that $72, I'm going to go ahead and put it into the equation. And my equation is, I find out that the extra above 100,000 is going to cost me 0.68 cents or 68 cents times my unknown amount, and it's got to equal $72 or less. So I'm going to go ahead, solve for x. Okay, and once I do that, I find out x is 105.88. Well, we don't deal with 0.88 in insurance, and so I can't round up to 106 because I don't have enough, so I need to round down to 105. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. The last step is to find the total amount of insurance. So here's my 100,000 from the basic. Add the 100 extra 105 that I was able to work with. And so this person, this 23-year-old male, has $205,000 term life insurance. Okay, so that is your homework assignments that you're going to work on today. If you got any questions, please email or text me. Have a good day.